Thank you for joining us in our episode, The Creation of New Solo dizi Repertoire After the 1940s and the Changing Status of dizi Musicians. Today we will be looking at the development of dizi repertoire and the changes dizi musicians faced after the 1940s. Let's begin by understanding the context of the 1940s. In 1949, the Communist Party had officially taken control of China with Mao Zedong as head of the nation. Mao Zedong had influenced and organized the peasant class of China to defeat the Nationalist Party with the promise of a better life. He recognized them as the oppressed class in the feudalistic China and promised them better living conditions and recognition in society. With the peasant class as the focus of the new government, music gained the role of serving the traditional working class, soldiers, and the government. It was then that the role of the dizi underwent a big change in Chinese society. The dizi is a bamboo flute, and there are multiple kinds of dizis in different keys. Dizis have 6 finger holes and a membrane. It is this membrane that gives the dizi its unique buzzing sound. Dizi solo repertoire and the status of dizi musicians as professional musicians is something that began developing after the 1940s. Before 1949, playing dizi was not a prestigious activity at all, and dizi players were not respected. However, with the push for folk music to be the acceptable form of music and the elevation of its status by the government came the elevation of folk musicians as well. This included dizi musicians. Dizi musicians were previously labeled as low-class folk musicians. Now, after the 1940s, this label was changed to professional performer. Dizi musicians at this time became government employees receiving benefits like monthly payments. They were tasked with performing for a greater good. Basically, these group of musicians that had been considered oppressed under the previous feudalistic society had now been chosen to represent the traditional working class in Mao Zedong's government. These changes led to the development of new dizi solo repertoire. The dizi performers who had been hired by the state were encouraged to create new compositions. Filled with pride in their new positions, the dizi musicians began making changes to dizi styles of playing, as they believed the dizi had to embody the attitude of change set by Mao Zedong and his government. New dizi repertoire was made by taking already existing dizi parts and building on them. There were some big differences between the new dizi repertoire and the old musical compositions. For example, new dizi repertoire fused together elements of different musical styles. This included styles of different regions from China. Although these new compositions were based on older pieces, the titles were completely different. The titles of these new pieces were used to show support for the government and promote government ideals. Previously, folk melodies using dizi had been kept simple and short. New melodies were more elaborate and complex. There was also a difference in the way this music was being communicated. Previously, folk pieces were transmitted orally. Now, these solo dizi pieces were notated with specific instructions for its performance, including specific keys, tempos, and ornamentations. A notable dizi performer of this time was the dizi musician Lu Chunling. Born in 1921, he was raised in a poor working-class family. In his early years, he worked as a driver and was a self-taught dizi player who played in a Shizu folk ensemble. The Shizu folk ensemble is an ensemble from the East Central China that used dizi as the leading instrument. After 1949, he was named a professional musician and became a part of the dizi musicians hired by the government. In his performances and arrangements, he kept elements of his experience as a member of the Shizu ensemble. This was mostly seen in his lyrical style of playing. Please enjoy a snippet of his performance of the piece Plum Blossom's Melody. The song Plum Blossom's Melody, performed by Lu Chunling, is an arrangement of an old song. However, throughout his life, he did compose a few of his originals. An example of this is the song Yesterday and Today. Join me in listening to a snippet of the song Yesterday and Today. As you can see in both songs, Lu Chunling uses his lyrical style, forming a unique style of dizi playing that went on to influence later dizi compositions. At the same time, we can see the differences in both pieces, with Yesterday and Today using more complex melodies and elements. Dizi repertoire, like Lu Chunling's, emerged as a reaction to the political climate of China in the 1940s. This changed the status of dizi musicians and their status in society, but it also went on to influence dizi playing for generations to come. Thank you for joining me today. See you next time.